वेल ये आज तक कभी नहीं हुआ है 4 दिन में 2 videos. That shit is insane. Guys, come on, it's almost the end of 2025 and you know what we should do as startup and business geeks? I think we should talk about startups today. So 2025 में Indian startups ने कैसे perform किया? The largest question of the century. In 2025, Indian startups have raised around $10.8 billion and the US startups have raised around $300 billion. I mean, come on now. Sometimes I feel like there is like no sort of competition. I mean, I genuinely believe कि अगर हम economy को एक कार से compare करें तो we can compare startups with turbochargers. So I mean, it is a firm belief from my end कि startups is something that can actually save my country. So अगर मैं थोड़ा सा broadly बात करूँ तो in 2025 हमारे startups are more or less very conservatively optimistic. Startups and businesses are caring a lot about their fundamentals. वो बहुत ज़्यादा they are very careful about their P&L, about cost, the unit economics, it all of those things they are very very cognizant of. Whereas अगर हम बात करें 2021 और 22 की, then at that time the startups valuations and startups were essentially cuckoo. But right now it's looking better and startups are being more realistic about their valuations. ये साल seed stage funding जो होता है या फिर pre-seed stage funding जो होता है, जो कि PMF या फिर बहुत early stage ideation stage पे जनरली जो फंडिंग होता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कम हुआ है. इट हैज़ बीन डाउन बाय अराउंड 30%, विच गोज ऑन टू शो अगेन कि इन्वेस्टर्स एंड VCs आर नॉट रियली लुकिंग टू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ रिस्क essentially. At the same time, there has been some small increase in the funding in the early stage startups जो कि 7% से बढ़ा है as compared to 2024, and the late stage startups की जो funding है they have again decreased by around 26%, which is again a little sad. That is an overall fall of around 15% in startup funding as compared to 2024. SaaS, enterprise applications, quick commerce, logistics tech, and how can I forget my favorite fintech? I don't like fintech, but yeah, whatever. Fintech companies are more and more sort of focusing on doing initiative bootstrapped, right? They are trying to be more conservative with their valuations, and that's why the money raised has also been lesser as compared to in 2021 and 22, as I said before. Erisha e-mobility, being one of the largest manufacturing in the EV infrastructure space, has raised a round of $1 billion, which is a very large round considering it is a manufacturing company. Insane, and I love it. And Impetus Technologies, which is a AI and analytics startup, they have also raised a funding of around $350 million this year. Then there is Inframarket, which is a real estate infrastructure supply chain type of a business, and they have also raised around $222 million this year. I mean, the portfolio has been fairly diverse this year around. Then there are deep tech medical startups like MedGenome, which have raised capital to expand precision medicine and genomics diagnostics. Innovacare, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but they have also raised a large round, and they are in health and analytics space. Gupshup, again an enterprise communication based AI software, which has also raised around $60 million in 2025. Understanding these micro patterns is very interesting for me, but I just want to take your perspective a little broader for some time, right? Because when you go ahead and study startups in India, you will realize one key major aspect. India still does not focus on a lot of R&D and foundational work. I mean, when we talk about startups like Fractal Analytics and Impetus Technologies, they are startups based on AI and analytics. They are not doing foundational work. They are not doing a lot of R&D. They are an application company on AI. We see this pattern everywhere in all the industries, right? Even in the healthcare, we see everywhere there is analytics, right? So in the healthcare analytics, it's not a foundational work. It's like you are building an application layer on top of foundational layer that has been built by US and China. So we see that pattern in all the industries. One of the things I really think, it's a very contrarian type of thinking that I have, is that we need more deep tech startups. We need more startups that are investing large sums in R&D and which will generate revenues and profits after 10-15 years down the line, right? We need to bet on those big ideas that will change how people look at tech technology or how people look at a particular service. We need such ideas and we need to fund those ideas very well. अगर तुम कल जाके बोलोगे कि भाई मुझे स्पेस में जाना है and I want to clear the debris in space, मतलब वहाँ पे जाके मुझे कचरा उठाना है, तो तुम्हें कोई सीरियसली नहीं लेगा. लाइक तुम आसपास जाके ये तुम्हारी आइडिया बताओगी, दे विल कॉल यू रिडिक्यूलस, दे विल जस्ट लाफ एट योर फेस एंड से कि भाई तू क्या है. दैट्स डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू हैपन. लेकिन दैट्स नॉट द केस इन कंट्रीज लाइक यूएस एंड चाइना. देयर आर ऑल्सो पीपल हु विल फंड योर आइडिया इवन इफ योर आइडिया साउंड्स रिडिक्यूलस. सो वी नीड सच रिस्क कैपिटल इन इंडिया that will fund such ideas which are more long term and more out there. There is climate tech, there is hydrogen, there is nuclear tech, there is semiconductor tech, there is healthcare tech, there is pharma. You can do so many foundational research work that can be done in this country that will probably give us advantage down the line, like 10-15 years from now. I absolutely appreciate investors, businesses and startups focusing more on functional day-to-day application heavy businesses and investing and spending time in that. But there has to be another set of people who have to work on foundational R&D work, who are passionate about specific topics, doing specific work for long amount of time and then reaping benefits of it after 10-15 years. It's a longer term game, but it fetches you larger and exponential revenues and profits down the line. It also helps country to build its differentiated positioning and it's very important. I feel like lot of people just discard it saying कि भाई अगर तुम्हारा P&L ठीक नहीं है, you don't have profitability, then your business does not make any sense. If you are doing foundational and research work and if you are building technology that is not available today, then you can actually have cuckoo valuations and that is justifiable in that, because for the longest time Tesla is not even selling many units and the valuations did not make sense. But ultimately Tesla did show up and created great products that have shown good commercialization also in the market. Similarly, China is the best example, right? China has invested so much money in battery technologies, EVs, in solar technologies. They started doing it back in 2005 and now they are reaping a lot of benefits from the investments that they have done. Now absolutely some people are going to come at me saying कि भाई China में things work differently, government खुद businesses को support करती है, which I completely agree. But again, then we can compare ourselves with US saying कि भाई वहाँ पे private players भी risk appetite लेके आते हैं, right? I know, I mean there are a lot of differences in China, America and in India as well. But it is very important for us to start businesses that are more out there. They sound really ridiculous in first sight but make sense. Obviously I see the fact that India still has a lot of structural issues and there are many problems that can still be solved जो कि very daily basis पे आते हैं, and that's completely fine. Like startups like Zepto is solving a very consumer facing problem of convenience, and that is completely fine. They have created a good business and I have absolutely no problem with that. But at the same time there has to be startups like this MedGenome and whatever the you have to change the name, let me say that. So you have to realize it's like a cycle, somebody let's say wants to work in hydrogen. Now there is not a lot of investment in hydrogen in India. He wants to work in hydrogen space, there is no funding in that hydrogen space, so he won't get a good salary. So what that person does is he goes outside of the country, maybe in Europe, to do the R&D work that he wants to do, and there is still no funding in India. We have to start the flywheel somewhere, right? Either the funding and the capital has to flow through these kind of ideas, or people have to deliberately stay in India and work on those topics despite of getting low income. And in a capitalistic society, if you think about it, कि अगर तुम्हें पैसे नहीं मिल रहे हैं, people will always have the option to go outside and make more money. People will rather choose the making more money path than staying in India, making no money and working on passion. This flywheel probably has to start in the stage of funding. People in India, the rich folks in India, need to spend a large sum of money in R&D. That risk capital that I'm talking about, India is still missing it, by a long shot. If India wants to become a developed country, right, it is not an option or a supplementary thing for us to do to, work in deep tech. It is compulsory. It is almost compulsory. We have to work in deep tech in order to build differentiation in the long run. Let's say if we start, creating startups that are made to collect debris in space, then 20 years down the line, when there are a lot of satellites in the space and a lot of debris collisions are taking place with the satellites, who else would you go to? You will go to India in order to clean that debris. And also मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा डाउट आता है लोगों को कि लेट्स से कोई बंदा अगर क्रायोजेनिक इंजन के ऊपर काम कर रहा है रॉकेट के लिए, वो बंदा मतलब 5 साल काम करेगा उस चीज़ पे, 10 साल काम करेगा. इफ ही रन्स आउट ऑफ क्या बोलते हैं कैश, देन ही विल हैव टू क्लोज डाउन दैट बिजनेस. एंड दैट इज़ अ वेरी सीवियर इशू, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज़्यादा होता है हमारे कंट्री में, बिकॉज द कैपिटल इज नॉट फ्रीली अवेलेबल एज मच एज इन द यूएस. तो इट्स अ रियल इशू फॉर अस. द कैपिटल हैज टू फ्लो. इफ एनी रिच folk who has more than 100 crores, I invite you to fund people, fund crazy ideas, be a crazy investor. Right. So coming back to the point of discussion, yes, 2025 was a little bit of an underwhelming year when it comes to VCs and startups, because not a lot of investment has essentially happened. And startups also, businesses also have focused more on clearing out their fundamentals and stabling down their valuations essentially. Although the private funding has decreased significantly, we can see an increase in the IPOs, number of IPOs taking place this year, and it has been interesting to see. Zepto also recently filed for IPO for like $1.22 billion of valuation. Companies like Shiprocket, PhonePe are still in the pipeline for IPOs, and I think the 2026 is going to show a similar trend. I think VC is going to improve in 2026 for sure. As the AI tailwind, there are going to be more startups built on AI. That's definitely going to happen. Maybe on the application layer, if not on the foundational layer. But there are going to be more AI startups coming in, because I mean the dust is sort of settling. It's not exactly settling, I would say, but the dust is nearly settling in United States. And once the foundational and the funding rounds, large funding rounds in the US end, I think the Indian funding rounds for AI will then start to happen. So obviously, like always, Bangalore accounted for around 32% of the funding. 18% went to Mumbai, and the rest went throughout the other places like Delhi and all the tier 1s. There has also been quite a bit of action in the tier 2 and tier 3s as well this time around in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu specifically. In 2026, there are 190 plus companies which are lining up for IPOs. It is going to be a better sort of a funding, capital raising year for private as well as the public markets, I feel like. So AI, I think, is still going to be a very talked about subject in 2026 as well, specifically on the applications part. Climate, healthcare, enterprise tech, SaaS, fintech is always going to be the pillars of when we discuss about VCs in India. So in short, if we are to summarize everything, if 2025 was a year of introspection, जहाँ पे funding थोड़ा tight हो गया, investors demanded discipline. In 2026, there is going to be more realization and more execution. There is a massive pipeline for IPOs. There will still be a lot of focus on fundamentals and unit economics. Yeah, that's all. That's all for today. I think it has been very interesting for me to talk about these things, because that's something I really love doing, talking about startups, businesses and ideas. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing your comments below as well. मुझे जानना है कि तुम लोगों को और किस टाइप का कंटेंट देखना है. Like I want to know कि क्या हम, how can we build a better community that like startups, businesses, and how can we make this thing even better. And yes, we will be doing more live streams. That is something that is there in pipeline for us, and I think this was a fun video to record. I hope you enjoyed this one as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.